Eu sou Mariano de Arcos e você está assistindo Guerrilha Cultural. Okay, we are live now. Hello there, everyone.
Oh.
I'm really glad to have you all here in Guerrilha Cultural. Today we brought up one of the most well-informed political analysts of our time, Mr. Jeffrey Nyquist, to talk about China, the Chinese plague, and the racial riots in America. This is the beginning of an initiative to create a bridge between Brazil and foreign intellectuals in a great cultural exchange. So let's begin. Good afternoon, Mr. Nyquist.
Good afternoon, Mariano.
Well, I would like first to assume my viewers don't know your work. So let's start with a very essential question. We are talking today about a communist regime that is threatening the West, I mean China. How come, after the fall of the Soviet Union, we are still talking about the communist threat? Shouldn't it be a thing of the past?
Well, it never went away. People were sold, they were sold a bill of goods. This is an American expression. The Communist Party Soviet Union went underground. It retained control of all the institutions of the Soviet Union. But it was very useful for the Soviet Union to go, Soviet Communist Party to go underground, because then they could be more effective in Europe and the United States, Canada, Brazil, throughout Latin America. And this was where they could make real ground, because the great problem the communists had in various countries in organizing was that people were afraid of Soviet power. That if you suddenly said there's no more Soviet power, well, then why should we be afraid of communism? So then the communists, and also the communists could moderate themselves and sound more like leftists who were, more like China. We can accommodate capitalism. So what's wrong with that? And then they could openly work with China in various venues, which they've done in Latin America. And of course, they could have out of one side of their mouth radical talk about social justice and revolution and whatnot. Out of the other side of their mouth, talk about China in business and Russia in business.
Yeah, but I think how come the most powerful nations on Earth, with tons of money to dedicate to intelligence, could fall so badly in the hands of the enemy? How could this happen?
You're talking about the United States?
Yes, I think mainly, but I think almost all the nations in the world that have this kind of problem now, I believe.
Do you see the big misconception is that the United States had strong intelligence services? Before World War II, the United States did not have an intelligence service to speak of. We had, the Army had intelligence, but there was no American intelligence service. The FBI mainly is focused on white-collar crime. Its counterintelligence abilities are more in legend than in fact. The United States had to sort of generate during World War II a kind of intelligence capability out of nothing, with help from the British, who, by the way, were heavily infiltrated by the communists at the time that they were helping us form our intelligence services. And that's the problem. That's one of the problems that we were having.
Yes, I mean, when you talk about Latin America, we believe in a legend that the CIA was like after all that happened in Latin America in the last century. But I remember there was reading a very important work, I think, for Anatoly Goslin. I don't know how to pronounce his name, and he was saying that he was talking exactly about Brazil. And I remember when I was younger, I was taught in school that America was all behind everything about the military dictatorship and all in control. So you're saying that this institution is not actually as powerful as they are telling us.
The CIA is the gang that couldn't shoot straight. The CIA is you ever hear of the American TV show Get Smart?
I don't think so.
It's about a bungling American intelligence operative who's always bumping his head and slipping on banana peels. And it's pretty much accurate.